episode of Oh, She's Funny. I'm your host, LP, and this week I'm psyched to welcome a dear friend of mine. You've thought Oh, She's Funny when you've seen her movies, Fresh or Ibiza. Please welcome hilarious writer Lauryn Kahn, or LK, as she's known to people who are also friends with me.
Hello,
Hi,
hello. So
buddy.
happy
How
to
are
be
you?
here. Good. Excited to be here.
I'm
We
so
go way
glad you're
back.
here. We do go way back. I mean, we're very young, so not too far back, but
We are currently 26,
26,
26 and 28,
26 and 28. I'm a little older
respectfully.
than you. Yeah.
That's true.
No,
That's true.
when we met on it was my first PA job in Los Angeles.
And also, I think it was mine as well, actually, because I'd
Um,
moved in April and the job was in August. Maybe I
yeah.
had like a couple, like a day or two stint, but that was like my first legit PA job.
One
Should
of
we
yeah,
tell should
so
we should
so
we tell the
early PA
viewers
jobs. They want to know. The
should we
viewers,
tell
the
the
listeners
clamoring
want to
viewers
know.
what they about this show we worked
Please
on?
do. Yes, please.
Pilot during the Apprentice craze, so it was all like we need more shows with powerful men that want to make a lot of money, and so
Business, business.
business. And so it was at like a church preschool in Pasadena. It was like a week-long shoot, and a group of money hungry single guys are think that they're going to be know that they're running a business, and there's of course like blonde British host who's like, gentlemen, you're going to be running a business, and then like open the doors, out come 20 screaming kids, they're running a preschool. Okay. Called the
Literally
startup.
screaming kids who we
Screaming
fed
kids
sugar.
wiping up pee on the floor. I
They
have
were
a
literally
very
peeing on the floor.
vivid memory of just like, I guess this is Hollywood.
Yep, they're
um
they're peeing, and that's our job to clean
and
it
it's
up.
disgusting,
So
and we'll be here all night cleaning up their mess.
we're doing it. We're living our
We're
dreams.
making it.
I did
But
feel that was a dreamy show
I was
because
gonna say,
the
we met there. I met three of, like, I mean, I'm still close with one guy, but two of my closest friends in LA I met on that show, which is you and Molly, both PAs on that show, and are now still, what is this, 18 years later? I
yeah,
mean, wait, no, because we're only 26. That would
yeah,
make us not legally. Yeah.
yeah,
You know
we don't
what?
have to do
Don't do the math.
yeah,
Math is tough. Let's just not do math.
adding and subtracting, it's like not worth anybody's time really.
It's really not.
Uh and then as we were becoming friends, I feel like this is worthwhile to get into. One of the first nights we hung out, you and your roommate Tara were coming over to hang out with my wife at the time, Melissa, and I asked you some pre-hang questions just to get a vibe of like
Yeah, and I
what
wish I
foods you
knew.
might be
Hmm.
willing to eat or not eat. But I guess the way I presented it was like, hey, we're lesbians, and like we need to
That
know like
means
if you eat meat or or any
that
animal
means you're
products.
vegan. That means somehow I concocted that into they're vegan and there will be no food there. So before Tara and I came over, we made sure we ate, because I was like, I don't know what this is going to be.
But we
And
fully
then,
invited you over thinking that we're making dinner. So like I just
to our
was just like,
absolute
make sure
surprise,
we don't make something they don't like. Yeah.
I don't know where I got it from. They're making carne asada tacos or
There
pizzas.
was
Carne
meat,
asada
there
pizzas.
was
It was like
animal
there was like
everywhere.
dips. There was guacamole. And we were young. Again,
So young.
probably only
Still.
we were probably 9 years old if you again do the math.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
so, and they're like making homemade food, and we're from lean cuisine town, so we were like, this is
Sure.
so cool. Um, and then they smoke weed, so we were all, it was
We were
like
just
love at first
a
sight.
great match from
It was
then
the
on.
best first hang. We all kind of decided, we're like, maybe we're coming on too strong, but like we're all best
Are
friends
we
now, right?
soulmates now?
Yeah, we had the best time.
And now we
And then
are.
look at us.
Look at us
Look at
now.
us. Yeah.
Well, that was a beautiful intro to our love
Memory
story
lane.
as friends. But
Hmm.
let's
Hmm.
rewind even farther
Okay.
into your life. And I want to know, how did you get yourself into comedy? Like, did you know that you wanted to do it from a young
Oof.
age? Is this something you discovered later in life? Were you a funny
Well,
child?
I always liked telling stories, I'd say. So
Hmm.
even I like jokes. I loved jokes. I loved telling stories. I would do things for story purpose. I'm like, okay, this is gonna make a funny story.
And are you doing this
Um,
like for your family? What do you mean you're
for my
telling
friends,
stories?
like just for my friends, like they kind of knew, like, okay, she's a storyteller. And then I will say,
A
I
little bit of
did,
a ham?
senior
You
year, I was a ham. Yeah,
okay?
I used
Yeah,
to
yeah.
ham it up. People
Okay.
might say.
Yeah.
Um,
You're a little bit of
senior
a ham
year,
storyteller now. Yeah, I
I
got
did
it.
get voted best sense of humor. I'm not gonna lie.
Best sense of
Um,
humor. That's a
yeah,
nice,
yeah,
it's
best
a
sense of
nice trait.
humor. We took a funny shot. I don't remember. There was four of us that were voted
Please
on
remember.
that. It was something really dumb. I wish you know what? I'll find my yearbook.
I got voted
Not right now.
wittiest in like
There you go.
eighth grade, and the boy who was wittiest had shaved his head, and so I had long hair, imagine.
Of course.
So he took my long hair and draped it
It
over
was
his
over.
head.
Okay. Classic. Classic.
Hilarious, witty.
Looks like his hair.
Yep.
And then there you are.
And then the two
Um,
hilarious kids.
then in college, I'd say like working in comedy didn't happen until like the idea that it could happen and be possible wasn't until like college. And I think it was more I wanted I loved, funny movies and funny shows, and like I just knew that it was more like aspirational, like pipe dream. It really didn't feel like it was realistic at all. It was just something I enjoyed.
And where are you going to
And
college?
I went to Ithaca College, upstate New York.
Are you majoring
Um,
in something
I did TV,
entertainment-ish?
TV radio, TV slash
Okay, so
radio,
it's
which I don't know why they still call, although here we are on a podcast. So you know what? Maybe, yeah, technically radio. Um, but
this will
yeah,
be
and
on
then
radios everywhere.
radio's everywhere for real.
Tune into your
Um,
radio.
I mean, say yeah, a radio is this
It's
in my
essentially
mind,
as a radio, yeah.
essentially.
I'll give
But
it
yeah,
to
I
you.
did TV production, and then we started kind of writing like, shorts and like mini movies and comedy things, and got to like video them and edit them, and then but I'd say like writing comedy kind of came later in college, like senior year, when I took a personal essay class, and then it was like, okay, I'm really learning how to write a funny story, essentially. And that was like a big turning point. The teacher had that moment of like, you got a real style and a voice, and
Mm,
you should keep with this. And so I have a couple like I still saved. And then yeah, when I moved out here, I was like, I guess I'll just try to be adjacent. Like I was like, I'm gonna become a production coordinator. Like it was literally like the idea of like the creative endeavors felt completely unattainable. So I was like, I
right,
will
right.
become a production manager and be on a show with funny people, like be doing the financials. Like I don't even know what I was. But yeah, then I was just like, I'll be doing like the budgets.
Just the funniest
Um,
accountant that
yeah,
we've
on
got.
Everybody Loves Raymond, I'll like see them, but
Right.
um,
Our accountant is hilarious. She's
yeah,
great in
we should.
there. I don't, she's terrible at the numbers, but
Really terrible. We're all in debt, but funny. Tells a good story. So then basically, yeah, I was like doing I was really you're the reason I got into comedy because I mean, really, like I was in reality TV until you. And you were like the first person I met when I moved to LA, in because I met you on a reality show that I was like, you were involved in UCB. I didn't
mhm.
even know what UCB was. I was like, improv, like what? And you were like, come to a show. I'm the night manager there. And that really started my love for like wanting to be more connected to people in the comedy world, and actually being like,
Mhm.
I need to be close to funny people like this. And that kind of sparked something in me where I felt like maybe it is possible to be closer to this and more involved in this.
Once you
Um,
see that there's like a community of
yes,
people working on it and like
yes,
different levels of
100%.
success doing it and they're sort of touchable, it's like wow,
Not too
there's
touchable, careful lawsuits and
well,
everything.
like if you start touching sort of people's knees and then you move up their
You say,
leg,
do you trust me? Do you trust
do you
me? You
trust
ever say
me?
that?
And then you and then you say you can't tell anybody that we're doing
Yeah,
this.
it seems
Um,
okay. We should
and
talk after
then
the podcast.
all right, yeah, this seems private. But like
Yeah,
you start to talk to people and I mean UCB changed my life as well, but like yeah, it's like once you get your eye on like wow, there's people that are like actually working on this stuff and doing it and I
Yeah.
couldn't even
And
like
there's like a
go over
science to
there.
it, right? To like build a scene and like, you
Right,
kind
right.
of,
Like it's not just like a magical like wish that gets granted.
yes. Yeah. It's just like, so that really sparked something in me where I was like, I really want to work in comedy and work creatively. And like, why the fuck can't I do this? It was like a
Mhm.
turn, so, and that begun like wanting to get closer and closer to people in comedy and people in entertainment on the more creative side, essentially.
That's awesome. And then
Yeah. And then you got me sort of a life-changing job that really
and
changed
then
everything, which
yeah.
is
Yeah, I was working at Gary Sanchez and then Funny or Die started and so I started working at Funny or Die and they asked me if I knew anyone who needed a job to replace me at Gary Sanchez and I knew
no.
no?
Actually. No, you were the office assistant, and McKay needed an assistant for his new
Oh,
movie.
oh, right, right, right.
So
Sorry. It
you were
was
still,
sort
I
of
think, at Gary Sanchez for like a little longer, and then you moved
I
over to
was sort
Funny or
of
Die.
transitioning over and it
Yes,
was like replace me, but you're gonna go with McKay.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, yeah, you should hire my friend Lauren. And they were like, she sounds cool, but her name's Lauren,
yeah.
and we can't do that. So you're
Think of something
LP
else, and
and
she's
she's
okay.
LK. And then
And so
now
began a nickname that stuck.
now everybody calls us that.
And it
Which
was funny because when you kind of recommended me, it was kind of perfect because McKay just wanted someone he could hang out with. And, all the agents are like, we have a guy for you and we have a gal for you. And that's just like not what he was interested in.
that's how
Thank
I got
God
the
for
job
me.
too.
Right. They're like, you're cool. You want to play Guitar Hero? It was like literally
Yeah.
that.
Did you have a proper interview with him?
I did. And it was like, you went to magic camp? Like, you watch American Idol? Like, you worked in reality TV? I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I've never assisted a director, but he didn't care. Thank
That's
God.
great.
And so I literally got thrown into it.
My interview to work at Gary Sanchez was Gary Sanchez had just started, so they were still pushing out the story that Gary was a real guy, and no one quite knew if that was true or not. And I couldn't really figure that out based on
Right.
online, like before going in. And so they were like, so they immediately just started the bit of like, so Gary's this guy who we met on a billionaire's cruise, and he owns a soccer team in Paraguay. And I was like, okay, it's a bit. And so I just joined the bit with them, and they were like, if he calls and wants you to go to Paraguay, you can't go. And I was like, okay, I would never do that. And then, and like they
You
just
just,
were like,
they're like, okay, she's catching on to the bit and she's in. Like, it
yeah,
was like
like they
really
just
that
wanted
easy
someone who could joke
to
around
do
with them.
bits.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
left, and
Lucky
they
for
didn't
us.
they
It's
asked me
very
no
rare.
questions about like, can you answer a phone or
Yeah.
like, can you read a script or nothing business related.
That shit will come. Like, are you cool and funny? And will we not get annoyed by you is really the most important.
Fully, fully. Yeah. And
So
then,
yeah, that and
and then
that
they're
was
the
sort of
best.
the game changer that kind of changed the trajectory of my life truly and was like the most unbelievable experience even still like just what a fun I started on the day that the landlord was released
You started that day?
that day. So I had like, they were like, they want to interview McCann, Bill O'Reilly. There's this people talking about it and that people and it's blowing up and it's the biggest, it's 57 million views. Like it was like within a week, it was like hundreds of millions of views and interviews and backlash and excitement and just
Right,
it
right.
was
How
so
dare
and
you
I
let a
was
baby curse? Yeah.
yeah, it was like just wild times. So it was like
Yeah.
Funny or Die was next to us, and we were gearing up for Step Brothers. So it was really there was not no time in my life quite like that.
That's so fun. And then you got to work with them on Step Brothers. What else?
Eastbound and Down,
Mm-hmm.
the other guys, and the Broadway show You're Welcome America, the George
So
Bush spoke.
fun.
Like people seem to forget that. And they're like, oh yeah, like Will
That
Ferrell
was wild.
played George Bush on Broadway. Like that is so crazy.
It is so crazy.
It
Yeah.
is.
I never ended up seeing that, but would have loved to.
It's on HBO too. I
Oh,
wonder,
is
like,
it?
I'm sure you could find it. It's so funny. It really
Oh, I
is.
gotta watch that.
And a lot of it based on reality, which is not as funny, but
And then so while you're working for McKay, what a great mentor to have as you're writing your own stuff. So you
Yeah.
start writing your own stuff and then you're
Started doing,
able
yeah,
to,
sketches for Funny or Die,
yeah.
a lot of short form stuff, filming my own stuff. It was very run and gun back then. We have equipment, go make some shit. And so it
Yep.
was a very exciting time to be an internet comedy. And
For sure.
we were just making stuff. And then he put me in improv classes at UCB, which was also amazing. I met amazing people through that. I learned how to build a scene better. And then it was after when the other guys was in post that he's like, you should write something longer form. And I was like, I have this one idea. And so I wrote that and, finally got notes from him. And he was really excited about it and was like, I think this could get you signed. I want to put my name on it. And so that kind of kick started like my writing career in a big way. And I got signed. And then that was sort of the beginning of that next chapter of my life as a writer.
So awesome. So cool. And then
It was really
we've got
amazing.
Ibiza and Fresh and other things that are in the works.
Yeah. Yeah. Things that
Awesome.
never saw the light of day, things that
Sure.
will, things that have.
Things that are
Um,
secret that we don't even know that you've touched. Shh. Ooh, I like how your
um,
shoulders went up when you did that. It was like a naughty shush.
yeah, it was a nice shift. No, yeah, it's funny because I did some recent, well, not recent. I did work a while ago on this like animated short that was for a DVD. And I was like, oh, I wonder if they'll ever make this. And then it was like on my IMDb page. And I was like, oh, it got made. Like, cause it was for like Sing 2. And then they had
Okay.
like extras and sketches and they never told me they made it. They were like, oh, write a couple like shorts that could be on the DVD. And then I was like, oh, it happened. I
Yeah.
did it. And so I tried to find it on like YouTube because you have to like have the Blu-ray or whatever. And I found it and I was like, that's cool. So it was sort of secret where I didn't even know.
Secret from you. Very naughty.
Secret from me. Um, so yeah,
Well, I'm glad that that we found each other and that
I know. Well,
um
me too. I wouldn't be here today, honestly, where I am. There's no chance.
well, it was fate, buddy.
There
And
was.
maybe also fate as you're a child and you're watching comedies and things that are influencing you. Let's talk about a major influence for you that we're going to talk
Yes,
about
please.
today. Please reveal who we're speaking of.
We're speaking about none other than the Golden Girls.
Oh
I'm
my God.
talking Blanche, I'm talking Rose, I'm talking Sophia, and I'm talking Dorothy.
Thank
The
you for
four.
being a friend.
Bow, 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 bow.
That was me trying
Uh,
my hardest to sing it.
that was amazing.
It
That was
wasn't bad. It
amazing.
wasn't terrible. So I'm
I thought
pleased.
the show was on, and I was like, "Wait, are we watching it?" But that was you.
Do you have a favorite
Um,
of the four? Is it even possible to pick?
you know,
I do. So I'm gonna
I
say it
think
is.
if you're like if there's like it's like a gun to my head, and I really hope I don't know what
There
situation
is a
someone's
gun to
putting a
your
gun
head. I'm
to,
so
the gun to
sorry.
your
There
head.
is.
I guess Dorothy
Yeah.
because of the quick wit of just the perfect sarcastic quick wit of
The
like
stingers.
constant the stingers.
Oof.
Um, but like they all have like such specific hilarious characters and personalities without being a caricature. Like it was always like they just fell in line with who they were in such a beautiful way. Actually, I have to say this. I was just at the car wash. I was like, this is a sign. Directly across from me is a man wearing a shirt that has Blanche's face on it. And I was like, what does it say at the bottom? And I was like trying, and I was gonna ask him, and then he stood up and it said the top, it said better late. And I was like, what's it gonna say at the bottom? And it says then pregnant. So I was like,
With
they live
Blanche's
on.
face. They
At
live
the
on
dude at the car
for
wash.
sure. People are
So
like
I was like,
still
that's a sign.
obsessed with them. The
A
show
hundred
was on
percent.
from 1985 to 1992.
So what is that? 8 years?
Seven, I guess. Or does it
85.
count as eight? I think
Yeah.
it was technically seven seasons. So
Okay.
seven seasons,
Okay.
180 episodes.
Oh my God. I haven't, and it's like, anytime it's on, I have to watch. And yet I still haven't, I don't think I've seen them all. There's always
Uh,
like a new one popping up.
yeah, and I forget like some I for sure remember, but then there's like ones that I'm like, wow, have I seen this one?
Yeah.
I definitely watched it as a kid, like for sure with like my mom and my grandma, and like everybody was like okay watching it.
Homesick. Like that was like, it's got to be on, TV Land or, like some
It's
channel.
on reruns since 1992. So, I mean, I can't do that math, that quickly.
100%. No.
But that's,
And no one needs to do that math.
250 years later, it's still on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, it was created by this woman, Susan Harris, who created the shows Soap and Benson.
Okay.
And they asked her to create it because there was this bit on CBS or something with Doris Roberts where she made a joke about Miami Vice and they were calling it Miami Nice. And it was like this,
Okay.
this, like, she's an older woman and she
Yeah.
made like a sassy sex joke. And so the executives were like, maybe we're overlooking women over 50
Just from that. They're like, they're
just from this
cool
bit.
and funny. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they
Yeah.
asked this woman to create the show, and she created Golden Girls.
What
And
a great name, too. Like, just a great premise. And actually, I'm sure you know this from your research, but Estelle Getty was younger
yeah,
than B. Arthur and played her
younger
mother.
than B.
They
Arthur.
like put like the moo and the wig and like because I remember after Golden Girls, Estelle Getty was in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yep.
And I was like, why does she look 10 years younger than when she was on the Golden Girls? She had like red hair and she was just like very limber. And I was like, oh, like fully just a character
It
that
was
she was
always
doing.
shocking when like she wasn't in Sophia makeup that you're like, wow, she's so
Because
much
the whole
younger.
body, like the way she moved, like she would move like an old lady and she just really wasn't.
All right, let's go through them one by one.
Okay.
B. Arthur as Dorothy.
Just clever, witty, sassy, zinger. I just like zinger style. Like you're just like ready for her to take it home. And kind of the same, I'm gonna say with Sophia, right? Because Sophia was the only one that could really zing her daughter too, like in a way that was like brutal, but like
Yeah, I mean,
allowed.
you
Actually,
could
they would
give
all zing
any
each
of them a
other.
punch at
It's
the end
true.
of the scene.
It's
Any of
true.
them could punch the end of a scene.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
B. Arthur wasn't interested in the show initially. They
Really?
they wrote the show with her in mind, like B. Arthur type was written in the script. And Betty White and Rue had been on Mama's Family together.
Yes, I
And
saw that.
then B and Rue had been on Maud together. And
Yep.
so B was like, I don't want to do the same thing with this,
Yeah.
we're all playing the same characters, meeting each other, and they had Rue call her and convince her to do it. And she was like, it's not going to be that. You should try it. And then she
The
convinced
rest was
her and they
history.
did it.
The rest was history.
180 episodes later.
180 episodes. And like all like the writing was so sharp and it was always so clever and I think you were mentioning this to me when we were talking about it that it was never like punching down or wait. Punching down, right?
Not punching down. Yeah, yeah.
I mean punching punching straight on at each other occasionally, but
Yeah.
as a whole it was like you were never feeling sorry for anyone and you were never like that was cruel um
Yeah, they
because
must
they
have
were
had like a writer's room that had a couple of diverse folks inside, you know?
you're talking about like diversity in the writers room all of the social issues that they took
Oh my
on
God.
like you name it they were going to take it head on and they were kind of I mean you kind of think about what's the one with like Bunker Archie Bunker like they always talk about
All in the Family?
yeah but I feel like the Golden Girls is very much in that same conversation. Just the social issues that they took head on with grace and humor, y'all.
They hit everything. I was looking at so many episodes that they did, and we talked about a couple of them the other day, but I rewatched Isn't It Romantic, which is where Dorothy's lesbian friend comes over. So
Yep.
funny. She
Yep.
she has a lesbian friend who comes and Dorothy's not sure if she should tell the other women that she's a
Yes.
lesbian before she gets there. And so she checks in with Sophia and she's like, uh, should I tell them whatever? And so the lesbian arrives. Her name's Jean.
Of course.
The lesbian. The lesbian arrives and Sophia's like, um, Dorothy's trying to like dance around like, do you want me to tell my friends or not? And Sophia just goes, the lesbian thing. Do you keep it under your hat or not? So good.
Wait, is this the one where like Rose doesn't know or
The lesbian falls in love with Rose.
okay, right. Like
Yes.
refresh my memory of what happened. So and Rose
So
doesn't know that she's lesbian.
she does she not? I think yeah, maybe Rose doesn't know. Yeah. Rose doesn't know, and then so Rose and the lesbian end up going to the movies because whatever people's plans change. They end up going to the movies together. The lesbian falls in love with Rose from, she's so sweet and lovely.
It's just innocent and naive.
Everybody's staying up late one night, and then Rose and the lesbian stay up later. The bed situation is all complicated. Rose says, "Don't wake up Dorothy, just sleep in my room." And so then she's like going to be in bed with Rose, and so she tells Rose that she's very fond of her, like very fond of her. And then Rose kind of figures it out and like it pretends to be asleep, and then Rose has to go
Okay,
tell
right.
Rose has to go tell Dorothy. She's like, I think Jean is and Dorothy's like, I know. And she's like, why didn't you tell me? And Dorothy's like, I didn't even think you would know what a lesbian was.
I mean, and the way they would tease Rose was always like so funny, like really the best singers. Like even there was a clip I was watching where it was like, "Have you guys? Do you know what Dirty Dancing is?" And and Dorothy's like, "Yeah, like the movie." And then Rose is like, "What movie?" And she's like, "Lawrence of Arabia." Rose, like just like whatever it was, just like, and also Rose's penchant for telling like the really weird stories about growing up in Olaf,
Rose's
is it? Or
great bit, Saint Olaf. Yeah.
St. Olaf. And it was always like, I wish I should have had some of the St. Olaf. Tell me you have a couple
I
St.
have I have one where she says, let me see if I can find it here. Um, Saint Olaf, founded by Heinrich von Ehrenbrennen. He was the first man to can tuna in its own juices. And she really does like go Ehrenbrennen and like trails off on the end of his name. We
and and the like the promiscuous jokes for Blanche like were always
Rue McClanahan.
so good and
Ah,
so like the way she leaned in and the way you knew it was like just setting up for just the perfect you're a slut joke but like
but it was always like
respectfully.
congratulations.
Yeah, it was always like she was like, yeah, I have a date every week, yeah, I'm promiscuous, like what of it?
Yeah, then I
And
threw
so
my
that's what
legs
I
over my
mean.
head and I
Yeah,
like did it better than anybody else.
totally. Even yeah, that shirt, better late than pregnant, was just
Yeah.
with her big smiling face. um so yeah, like I would say those are comedy icons for me, are all four of those ladies. A couple personal connections of things that and the
Oh,
way it's
please.
connected to my life.
Please.
First off, my friends walked down to the aisle. I don't know, the bridesmaids and the groomsmen walked down the aisle to thank you for being a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did our Christmas card when my youngest daughter wasn't alive yet, but all of our faces in the Golden Girls. So my husband, it's on our fridge actually, but our dog was one, my younger daughter was one, I was one, and my husband was one, and we were in like a Christmas setup of a Golden Girls with our faces in it, and it said "Have a Golden
Adorable.
Holiday." And then most recently in Fresh, that was the best friend ringtone for each other, was "Thank you for being a friend."
Nice.
And so
Love
I feel
those nuggets.
incredibly connected to this show and these women, and what they have. It's evergreen. Like it's still people discovering it. Even my daughter, who's only 8, she doesn't really get it, but there's something just comforting in like knowing that so many more generations will continue to sort of discover it, because now every single episode is on Hulu, I believe.
Yeah, well, there's something funny to little kids about like grandmas being silly. So
Yeah,
even if they don't, get all the jokes, literally, like there's
yeah,
something that's why it was like a family show. And
totally.
I was seeing it was like appointment TV for Saturday nights. Like people were staying home on Saturday night to
Oh
watch
yeah.
55-year-old women laugh. It's so great.
Yeah, and they weren't even that old. Like that's what's so hilarious is that
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Blanche Rue McClanahan, she was 51 when they started.
Yeah, she
She was
was,
younger than most of them that
I
like
think
they were
she
closer
was
to
the youngest
60.
one. Yeah.
But like that's just like literally in your prime. And it was just you kind
Yeah.
of dressed them in a different way. I think there was some like memes on Instagram where it was like if the Golden
The
Girls were
Sex in
Sex
the
in the
City.
City and you're
Yeah,
like, oh
yeah.
my God, like all filtered up.
Well, and that's that
Um,
classic, like now we call it the classic four woman setup of a show where it's like four friends and they're all
yep.
with this point of view and the Sex and the City
It's
version of
true. It
that and
started with Golden
girls
Girls,
and
right? And
um
Designing Women, that was after,
Designing
right?
Women was after. Yeah, I think that can be traced probably back to them. Maybe there was something before, but like what's more successful than Golden
Yeah,
Girls?
totally. And there's also actually a Golden Girls like piece of art, sort of a sketch of them in my daughter's room. So my older daughter really knew about them. They were like, who are these women? And then now she can like name them all. And like, so it was in her room, like when we were nesting and setting up with her crib. So she's always had a picture of the Golden Girls in her room.
Oh my God.
And now she like really knows who they are. So
Did
it's
you
pretty
ever
great.
come across Betty White in person?
No. And how I wished I would, because she really, I mean, ascended to just the kind of fame that we can all only dream of, right? Just
She really
to the
got
to
to
the
like,
last drop. The
yeah,
wit never left. The sense of humor was always there. You could do a whole show, obviously focusing on her.
sure.
But
Any of
and
them, yeah.
she was the last one to go, which I think she was like 99.
She was the last
It was
one
like
to
there was some
go.
sort of joke about like her something about not making to 100, and I don't know, or maybe actually I'm thinking of Bob Barker because he died at 99 and they were like the guess under a dollar or whatever,
Oh,
like
right, right, right.
closest
Maybe
guess
that
under a
was
100 or
Bob
whatever, like
Barker.
his final joke. But yeah, there was something about, I don't know what she joking about her age or something that
She did
like,
die at 99,
mm-hmm.
December 31st, 2021.
Oh, right before she, like, yeah, right before the new year or something. There was something
Mhm.
around her passing that was like her final joke, or I forget, but
Yeah, yeah.
um
But she did sort of
yes,
get to like have a resurgence and like
totally,
remember that
and deserved
campaign to
to.
get her on SNL and like Hot in Cleveland and
Right,
so
right.
many like extra movie guest stars. She came through Funny or Die to do a video for, I think it was called You Again, this movie with Kristen Bell and Sigourney Weaver and
Yeah,
some other folks. And so I directed this video. It was like a promo
you
for
got to
this
meet her.
movie. So I got to meet Betty White. So I'm like going over the script with Kristen Bell, and there's like the the premise of the video is that like remember it was like during the time where like all the junkets, everyone had to get into a fight at a junket. Like that was like the everyone
Right.
wanted to do a bit where like, what if we all get in a fight? It's like
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah.
So so they were like, what if we get in a fight? So we're getting them in a fight and we need sort of the outline of like how do we get them, what's the end of this thing? So Kristen Bell and I are sort of like racking our brains at it. Betty White comes over and she's like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "We're trying to figure out the end of this thing." And she's like, "Let me see it." And so we tell her like, it's everybody gets up and Kristen says, sometimes women are just mean to women for no reason. And then Betty goes, "What if I just say there's always a reason?" And we're like, "That's perfect." And
Just
we're, yeah,
coming
just
in,
came
just killing
in,
it.
whatever, 98 years old and was like, "I
It's
got the
amazing.
perfect outline." I mean, just pro for pro.
And I heard just also like the sweetest
The
person, just similar
sweetest,
to the
so nice.
character. And
I think
and
just loved
actually
working.
in researching it, I heard that like sometimes there was a little drama because B. Arthur couldn't kind of stand the always sunny personality and
I
was like,
heard that
enough
too.
already.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think by the end of the day they got along, but like there was definitely some tension of like the way they saw the world,
Right,
a little
right.
bit more in line with their characters.
Right. Like it didn't
Uh,
seem like, oh, they obviously could work together and everything, but yeah, I guess like Betty was like the ultimate entertainer, maybe
yes,
goofing around during
yeah,
setups, entertaining the audience, like enjoying the
yeah. I
showmanship
heard like
of
the
the
telling
work.
stories to the audience before,
Yeah,
and B was
yeah.
just like enough
Hamming
already.
it up, da 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 da
Yeah,
da. Everything's a joke and a bit, and B. Arthur's like, have a
and like we
seat.
just yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Can we keep it
And that's
quiet,
180
please?
episodes. So then by
180,
the
yeah.
time they ended, I'm trying like then that's just a long ass time.
So
It's a
so
long
by
time.
the end it was I was reading B was like after 7 seasons sort of I'd been on TV for 20 years. I've she said something like
I'm
I've been
tired.
stuck in a box for 20 years. And so she wanted to be done. And then did you see this spin-off that they made?
No.
So there's a Golden Girls spin-off that I didn't know until I'm researching this episode called The Golden Palace,
Okay.
where so at the end of Golden Girls, Dorothy leaves with Leslie Nielsen, and I think they go get married or something. So at the beginning of this new spin-off called The Golden Palace, the other three sell the house, move to a hotel that they've purchased and they're going to run. Also working there is Don Cheadle and Cheech.
Stop.
Yes.
Stop. How long did
Yes.
this exist and where can we watch it?
You can watch it on Hulu. It was on for 1 season, 24 episodes, which is a
24
lot.
look at freaking TV today, man. 24 episodes
24
for one
episodes
season. I want to
for
watch it.
for
I
one
can't
season of like a
believe.
show that didn't even do great.
Wait, Don Cheadle was in a couple episodes of Golden Girls. What was
He
who was
probably
his
was. They had
character?
guest stars. They had every guest star.
Wait, I almost want to like look up what he was on it because he was definitely in a few episodes, maybe more than one. Well, Golden Palace is certainly coming up.
The
Or maybe it
Golden
was just
Palace.
The Golden Palace. Hey, 78% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's better than,
There's like a Reddit. It's like just a friendly reminder that Don Cheadle and Cheech Marin both starred in the Golden Girls spinoff. How
isn't that wild?
amazing!
I
Also, Don
watched
Cheadle looks like the coolest, but that's another
the
episode here nor there.
um
What were you
I
gonna say?
watched the pilot of the Golden Palace and it's like it just seems like another episode of the Golden
Yeah, I was gonna say
Girls.
they're playing them, the same
They're playing
characters
themselves. It
essentially.
just seems like them on vacation.
And where
And
and basically they're just saying that Dorothy got
Dorothy
married.
got married and moved to wherever. And then there's an episode where she comes to visit. So then they're all together, and I watched that, and it was great.
Amazing.
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 And now there's
Yeah, I
like
was
people doing like live readings of the show and like a lot of like gay guys
oh, I
dressing
went
up
to
as in drag
talk about
as
more stuff I did. I went to a Golden Girls, like one of those like pop-up immersion restaurants where it was like they're serving you cheesecake and the music's playing and there's like sets. It was a little cheapy cheap to be completely honest, but they're like serving you all of the things because they always shared some cheesecake
right.
um and then I also went to like a drag Golden Girl show.
So fun. I mean, they're a huge part of the culture and a huge part of comedy, and I'm thrilled that we got to talk about them.
Oh my God, me too. They've meant so much to me. And I hope people who are like, oh yeah, I know that show, but maybe aren't as familiar with it, like just get cozy,
Dip
smoke a
in.
joint, and
You
fucking turn it on.
you could literally see anything from, the lesbian to Rose thinking she has HIV
I was gonna say they covered AIDS, they covered racism, they covered
to
teen pregnancy. I think they covered abortion. They just brought it head on, and we're
you
like, we're
you
gonna
never
talk about
know.
it. There were, yeah, yeah.
It's all
Um,
of a hilarious after school special.
but
Um,
always remaining with the humor, with the biting humor.
hugely
Like
hilarious.
never preaching it at you, which was also special.
No, very funny. Um, Great show.
Yeah,
Great ladies.
great ladies.
I named my dog Rose after Rose Nyland.
There you go.
So
A toast to them
a toast to the Golden
with
Girls.
my seltzer.
A toast. Thank you for being a friend to my friend.
LP, thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend, LK. Thanks everybody for listening. Follow the podcast on Oh She's Funny podcast on Instagram. Where can we find you, buddy?
I don't know, Instagram, I guess.
Yeah, what on what?
My
What's your
name,
handle?
Lauryn Kahn.
That's easy. L
Just
A
me.
U R Y.
URYNKAHN.
That's it. Come back next week. We'll be talking about another funny female with a funny female. Thanks everybody for listening. All right. Bye.